Hey guys, welcome back to another Exotic Car Hacks episode. And today we are talking to a nuclear engineer. You might be like, what the hell are you talking about? Well, apparently I have a Rolls-Royce here that has got the interest of a random ass dude from Washington State, which is like the other side of the world, who decided all of a sudden that he wanted to decrypt my Kryptos car. So I don't know why Rolls-Royce would make a car that gets engineers that build nuclear stuff interested, but we have a dude randomly completely reached out to me on Instagram, and he said, I'm a nuclear engineer and I want to decrypt the Kryptos that I've been fascinated with. So I think he's pulling up. Is he out there? Yeah, he's out there. So he's gonna be joining us. His name is Brian. Let me say what's up. But should be an interesting episode. We've never had anything like this happen. What's up, buddy?
Hey.
Nice to officially meet you. Come on in.
I hear you have a Royce Kryptos you need some help with.
I do, and I heard you're the guy because you reached out to me and you said, hey, I want to decrypt this car. So before we even get to the car, tell me, what's your obsession with the car? Like, where did that start? Or like, because you kind of told me some background info about you've been looking at this car for a while.
Yeah, I like solving codes. I'm a amateur cryptanalyst.
Okay.
And I just kind of do it for fun. I saw that Rolls-Royce had a game for people to play to figure out codes, and I figured them out, and next was the car, and you got the car.
Okay. So you've looked at this car before because you've seen press images and things like that of the car.
Yeah.
So tell me about how far you've gotten so far, about like what you've been able to kind of see of the car. You've been able to analyze different parts of it.
Yeah. Well, I think right away what's obvious is on the headrest. There's the symbols that are overlapped that are the RR for Rolls-Royce. Mm-hmm. And then there's similar symbols on the Spirit of Ecstasy at the front of the car. And I've been able to figure out what those were. But then the press release photos of the dash kind of clouds the symbols and fudges them, makes them look like the word Kryptos repeated over and over and some extra gibberish thrown in. So I needed to see the actual car to
get the real answer of what's happening there, right? Yeah. And I think there's also codes in the headliner.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that like move and create like weird like shapes and stuff.
Two tones of lights there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be like an interesting thing. So we'll take a look at that today. If you don't mind, like as we go out there looking at the car, kind of maybe explain to people, because I don't know anything about cryptography or anything. I just buy the car because I think it fucking looks cool. It has good colors and I'm like, this thing's epic, I'll just buy it. But I mean, I've always heard that there was a code hidden in the car. And I mean, from what I heard, there was a grand prize for the person that was the owner that could decipher it. So hopefully we can make some money. I don't know what we get. I don't know what we get out of it. Maybe we get the price of the car back or something.
Yeah, they suggested that you hire a team of cryptanalysts.
Yeah. So we have a nuclear engineer, so it's just as good. All right, so let's go out and take a look at the car and then see if we can, share with people some of these codes or what they are, and then should make for an interesting time,
Yeah.
If you want to drop your bag, make yourself comfortable, whatever, and then we can analyze some of these findings as well. Okay, so this is the car.
Nice.
The almighty Kryptos. 2021 Royce Kryptos. I don't know what number this is either. I know there's only 50, but it doesn't say anywhere like which this one is or whatever it is. So I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I think all 50 say that they're one of 50.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really say like 47. Like the Senna at least has some kind of like, it's like number 145, 450, whatever, of 500 made. But, anyways. So this car, we kind of know there's symbols here, which you were saying you've already decrypted kind of that stuff.
Right. Yeah, last September I sent an email to Rolls-Royce and said, I know that the front of the car says Kryptos. And then in December they put out a press release that said, nobody knows what the car says, so we're going to help you out. And the front of the car says Kryptos.
Okay.
But the way I discovered that is if you look at the symbols on the headrest that show the double R, if you look at this symbol here, it has the same pattern of a horizontal line, 2 dots, and another horizontal line. So this is the Rolls-Royce code for the letter R. And if you count the number of characters around the Spirit of Ecstasy, you'll see there's 7 characters there.
Oh, okay.
So I figured with your Rolls-Royce, either they want to put a designer's name or Kryptos,
Something
or
relevant to the
Wraith,
car or something, right?
rather than remember to drink your Ovaltine, something like that.
Okay. So
anyway, I figured out with those 7 characters, the second one being R, that it said Kryptos.
okay. So now we know that the Spirit of Ecstasy basically says Kryptos.
Right.
That's the key, and we know the seat says RR.
Right.
Right. Okay. But there's also a code here in the back of it, right? Like I think there's because these things. This was the biggest tricky thing to me is that there's an actual gray line that follows the Tiffany line, which you can't see to the eye unless you pay close attention. But there's an actual gray line that follows, and all the way in the back of the car is more code, right?
Right.
So how do you read cryptography for people that don't know? I have no fucking idea either. But so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, that's the same. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 characters. So does that mean it's 13 letters?
Well, what you have is the Rolls-Royce code is similar to Morse code that uses dots and dashes, but the Rolls-Royce code has 3 levels. The top level could be dots, the middle level is dashes, and the bottom level is dots. And they're either filled in or hollow. On this car, when you first look up to it, you see the crypto screen, and you have the letter W here, which I'm assuming stands for Wraith.
So what's interesting is you're saying that this, if it says a letter, so how does this come out to Wraith? Is it a guess or is it a letter W? Meaning like if we're looking as part of the code, is it saying like W, then Kryptos, or is it saying Wraith Kryptos? You know, are you supposed to assume it's Wraith, or is there an actual?
Well, I think it's like, you've heard of the Rosetta Stone that they use to decrypt hieroglyphics. I think it's like that, where the W is more of what we would call a plain text W. But if you look at the symbols here, there's the green dot here, there's the hard to see one here, easier to see green here, the hard to see here, then the easier to see here. These 5 symbols are the Rolls-Royce code for the letter W. So you have the plain text W visible up above, and then down below, if you look closely, there's the symbols that are the Rolls-Royce code for W.
This is clearly why you should stay in school, guys. Because you see, I never graduated. I barely graduated high school. This dude, what, you have a PhD or some shit?
BS of nuclear engineering.
Okay, so he knows terms that I don't even like understand, but this is why you stay in school. Because like, I don't even know what the fuck that means. Half the shit you just said doesn't even like, this is like, to me, it's like you're an astrophysicist. You know, I'm like looking at this, I'm like, I don't know how you read, I don't even see the shape of a W in this. And I can draw, but like I can't see a W in this. But somehow, I get what you're saying. Like it's like down, up, down, whatever, up. But what I'm saying is like I don't see that in the. But I guess that's why you're here, right?
Well, in part of this, it reveals better in the sunlight the hidden symbols, the lower coach line. It will light up and reflect a little better. So it depends your point of view when you look at it.
So is this better if we pull the car outside and look at it in the sun, or is it better if we look at it here on these lights?
The code for the W will be better under the sun.
But what about the dash on there?
Well, let's look at the dash next.
All right, so let's do that. Let me have. All right, so here we are. Now you have access to the dash and this.
Nice.
You see, and it moves too. If you look at the blue, it kind of moves there. So. And there's ways to change the intensity. So what do you see there? Because I see like these lines, like there's almost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, but some of it is certain light, and under certain light you can see it clearer. See that?
Yeah, it's sort of looking at a forest, and you see all kinds of trees out there, but If you kind of tip your head and catch the right reflection, you can see how some of the symbols look like they're on a slightly higher plane.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can, you can see it when you're driving the highway and the lights. You know, when you're driving under lights at night, it almost eliminates the dash where it like exposes the code. You know, where you can see because the light hits it and the rest is dark. So it's like really interesting. Like, I thought it was a very artsy feature, but obviously there's a code in it. I just think it's like interesting.
Yeah. So if you're able to group some of these symbols together, you notice on the Spirit of Ecstasy that each of the characters starts with Royce Kryptos green. On the dash, each of the characters starts with an open loop. So if you see an open loop here, or an open dot pair, that's the start of the character. And then there's about, 4 or 5 or 6 characters that dots that follow it in the character. So let's see, the line that has the most of the characters is, boy, it's hard to see here. I'm probably better in my notes, but it starts with the S that we know from the hood ornament, and then there's a character, and then there's a.
So is cryptography almost a whole new language for each person that makes a code? Meaning, like, if I give you the code without the code key,
right,
then you have to decrypt the key before you decrypt the code, correct? Like, you have to understand, because you're saying like, oh, we're associating this word with that word over there, which means that you're basically saying I'm learning the alphabet from that.
Correct.
And now applying it here, saying here's the same word, that's an R, that's an S, etc. Correct?
Yeah, this is what we refer to as a monoalphabetic substitution cipher. So that everywhere on here where you see the same symbol for R, it stands for the letter R. But if you take that letter R and you add another dot to it, well, now it's the letter S. And so by building up an alphabet, knowing the letters, I'm able to read the first layer here of 5 lines of text. And it is a quote by Alan Turing that says, "Machines take me by surprise with great frequency."
That's what it says on Dash.
Yep.
Is it all it says on Dash, or is that just one of the layers?
That's one of the layers. There's more layers underneath, and you can tell on the edges the symbols are there, but they're spread out a little bit as well.
But you can also see here there is some that are elevated a little bit more at the bottom here versus the rest of it. Because like if I look here, I see something, but here I see it darker from my angle, so maybe from different angles you see. I don't know, maybe it's my view just sees it darker or whatever, but do you think there is code here too, or is it just a code just in the core of it? Yeah,
I think there's a code up top, but then I think there's layers underneath. So we kind of have to peel off the layers and look at those to see what the second code is.
Cool, cool. So how do you do that? You just take a clear photo and then basically like work on it over and over until you figure out?
Yeah, I've got a sheet that shows it a little bit more clearly than the Dash, if you want to take a look at that.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. But now you have this thing, which is incredibly complex. So here, I'm going to start the car. Because once you start the car, you actually get a really good flow here, because the light's going to... No, it's not working because the doors are open here. Hey, Reggie, move back for a second. I'm going to close it. I'm going to turn the window down so you can see. Now, you can do this, and it just gets the boat. See? Just the blue. Or you can go all the way bright. All right.
So the lines on this remind me of
you want
integrated
darker or
circuit.
lighter?
Let's go a little darker.
Because I think when it's darker, you almost see the blue hit a little bit more.
Yeah. So you can kind of see pathways from the white lights that will follow a line like a circuit board.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it, starting at the beginning here, in between these two white lights, we're getting a blue light to pop up here. But between these two white lights, there's no light.
Yeah.
So I think this is showing us a pattern, like say the blue light is a 1 and where there's no light, it's a 0. You could read this as 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. That starts to sound like a binary code. Now, there's so many lights up here, I really need to take some time to look at them to
There's a lot,
trace them out.
Yeah, and after it moves, it actually stops. which, you know, it just becomes basically blue and it stands still, right? You know, but one of the things that's interesting is some of the lights always are brighter than the other ones, even when you tone it down. So if I go like all the way down, some still remain more than others. You see what I mean? Like some kind of dim down. Like if you go all the way bright, everything kind of, the brighter ones get brighter. But once you dim it down, the ones that are basically brightest are the ones that stay.
All right. So instead of just 2, maybe we have 3 things that we're looking for. We're looking for whether it's on, off, or if it's extra intense.
Right. And here, for example, you see a circle.
Right.
See that? Like, and the rest of them are like...
Yeah, this kind of looks like a T here with that shape.
Yeah, it's just really interesting how it's like all like... At first, when you look at it, you think it's just some like DNA-looking thing going down the car, and you're like, okay, cool, like cool design. It's the hit of every video. You know, it's like, oh my god, it's the hottest headline I've ever seen. And I'm like, fucking great, right? Like, love it. But then when you start looking at it, you're like, well, it's not even exactly the same on both sides. You know, it's not like a exact like, oh, they just did a pattern and that's patterns lighting up. Like you clearly
so it's asymmetric.
Yeah, you clearly see that there's areas where you're like, something's weird, and you see that right now it stopped. It's not moving anymore.
Oh, that's a good picture there.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like it's not moving. So even if we go a little brighter, now it's the blue is basically established.
Well, it's interesting because there are some pieces that you can already see have sort of a repetition to them. Like this circle that you pointed out here. I can find another circle on it towards the back that has the same shape. So that's what we look for to see if there's patterns to show evidence of design.
So do you think, here's the interesting part, do you think there's another code outside of this dash and this particular roof, or do you think all the answers are basically in these 5 segments of outside, headrests, this, to Kryptos, and of course these 2 being the more dominant, crazy?
Right. Well, I think they kind of draw you in. I think there's some elements of the design that are more obvious, and there's some that are more subtle that just take a little bit more time and a little closer look.
You said something about, what was the line for this?
The line is that machines take me by surprise with great frequency. And that this might be Alan Turing's name down underneath.
Like kind of a signature, like...
Well, yeah, like the same monoalphabetic substitution cipher as the others.
Interesting. I love that. Yeah, let's go inside and see your findings, you know, like, and just kind of talk about that. And then I'll send you videos if you want to decipher the rest.
All right.
So that way you can really have peace of mind that you finally decrypted the code. He's like, I wanted to do this. I'm tired of half code. Well, very cool. Yeah, let's go inside and see what you found out so far. All right, so...
All right. So starting back with the headrest, you can see how there's 2 symbols that are overlaid here. And when we looked at the Spirit of Ecstasy, this is the symbol that matches, but not quite exactly. The shading's a little different on it. But I think what they did is a little bit of artistic license where you see these 2 dots overlapping. If they used the same symbol that was on the Spirit of Ecstasy, it would look like this, where the center symbol's kind of a blob rather than something crisp.
Right, yeah.
So I think they took a little artistic license with the letter R. So this is, no, this was from their PR website.
Oh, okay, cool.
So there's the letter R that I was telling you about. Same pattern of dash, 2 dots, dash. But we have this symbol, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters made up of dots and dashes. So, you know, Wraith, it could be WRAITH, and we come up short. Or what my guess was Kryptos, this symbol being the letter K, and it's rotated as you go around. So it leads with the green dot. These symbols are the K. Here's the R we talked about. This one almost looks like a letter Y. Like if you drew a Y with the tail here.
Yeah, I see it. See, first thing I've seen, guys. See, I can see
You're learning.
It's like hooked on phonics for like people that didn't graduate.
This one would be the letter P then. Again, starts with the Wraith green dot. This is the shape for T. It has sort of a V shape and a tail going down.
So, like, but that's what I was asking already. How do you like if that looks like a V? Why is it a T?
Well,
See, that's why I'm confused, because
I
I
made
don't
my
understand.
guess back in September, but Rolls-Royce confirmed it was correct in December.
Okay, so
They
you were
said it
like, I
does.
think this is what it is, but
Yeah.
basically once they were like,
Yeah,
it
and
is
they
what
said,
it is, then you were like, okay.
nobody's solving this. We need to give them a little nudge. I'm like, hey, I'm getting there. So this is Kryptos. This is the drawing that they had on their PR website.
Yeah, which is impossible to
They
read.
fudged it.
Yeah.
If you look close, you will see the Kryptos pattern repeated in there, but then there's just random letters as well. So I was stuck for quite a while with that. And when I tried decrypting it, you can see, I'd find Kryptos and Kryptos, some strange letters, Kryptos, a whole bunch of strange letters. So if you just kind of sound that out, what does it sound like to you?
This one, SRPR?
Yeah, SRPRS. This is kind of like surprise, right?
Yeah.
Surprise.
Surprise. Yeah.
Surprise. Surprise.
Okay.
Okay, so if that's surprise, then this shape here would be an U.
Oh, because each of them is a letter, so
Right.
it's like if that's a U, surprise, then that's an I.
That's
so,
an I.
Okay, and that's an
yes, and that's an E.
E. Okay,
All right,
cool.
so
cool.
you're
Look at
learning
this.
more
Hey,
letters.
hooked on phonics. I'm telling you, I'm learning how to communicate.
All right. So then we've built up our alphabet from just the Kryptos letters to also the letters in surprise, and we can fill those in on the other line here. We wouldn't know this letter yet, but R. This we would now know as a E.
Oh, so you looked up words that basically have these
Have that
letters,
letter
like
pattern.
a bunch of letters
Right.
in the same order, so that would make sense. Yeah.
Right. So
Almost
now,
like the Jeopardy game, right?
Yeah.
Right, where you're like, hey, this is...
so I get to the next sheet here, and just filled in what we've been talking about. This word I put in the letters for surprise, and you get an alphabet here. And so that's where those 5 rows we talked about turn into these 5 letters of text,
Interesting.
which is machines take me by surprise with great frequency. Alan Turing.
But what was his influence on the car?
Well, Alan Turing is really one of the people that's responsible for modern day computers. He was part of the program that decrypted the German transmissions with Enigma, and the devices that they built to crack that code are basically precursor to our computers and laptops you have today.
Cool. Very interesting. I mean, this is like super like bizarre shit that I've never thought. But I find that to be the best part of this, of cars, is that I agree with that line more than anything else, is that there's an artsy vibration of cars, that each car creates its own experience, driving it. And I think that one of the things I love about Rolls-Royce more than anything else is that their experiences are like very unique to each car's character. And this is something you don't see a lot of manufacturers do. People make very cookie cutter shit, even if it's
Right.
expensive. Like, I have $1 million cars in there that are very typical and just like,
Yeah.
Cool,
I
whatever.
think one of their quotes is to take the best and make it better.
Right, and they really do that. Like, they have their best-selling car, which is this two-door Wraith, and now it's like in this incredible, color combination that's only available this way. But also then to put something like this in it, even if you never decipher the code, just to be involved in something like this,
Yeah.
right, is like such a
It takes
interesting
attention
car.
to detail.
Yeah, and to a whole new level, something you don't see any manufacturer really putting out there, unless we're talking about art in the sense of carbon fiber and some gold pieces, whatever, but you never see it with meaning. And I think that that's one of the things I love about Rolls-Royce in general. It's really complex shit. You know what I find really interesting, though, is the psychology behind having basically everything your key to the car is visible from the outside of the car, right?
Right.
And then you really have to go inside to decipher the code.
Yeah, it takes a closer look.
Right, because you can't really decipher the headliner or the thing without going inside to see the variations or the angles from behind the glass, which is really interesting how they gave you the key from the outside.
Yeah,
Right?
the
So-
key that takes you deeper into the...
Yeah, and like you literally need the real key to get inside. That's like the... Well, I mean, that's the brilliance, I think, behind the marketing, right? Like, it's like they just... And the artistry, too, not just the marketing, which I think is incredible. So really, the only thing really left was for you to decipher the entire roof. How long do you think it would take you to decipher that roof?
It's a lot of dots.
like months or like weeks?
I'm thinking weeks if I have
If you have the right photos and the right angles and everything else.
The right perspectives.
Interesting. All right, well, we're going to make sure you get the right perspective because now I want to know what the fuck that roof says. That's interesting. All right, cool. Well, look at that. Look, remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. The late Stephen Hawking. So, we've learned a lot today. I haven't learned how to read this stuff, but we've learned a lot today. And hopefully you guys have gotten some value out of understanding something that I don't think anyone's ever done on YouTube anywhere. First off, they don't have the car. Secondly, they don't have this guy. So now we have a nuclear engineer and a Kryptos. So we have some kind of, and we have a key to figuring out the code. So hopefully in the next month we can decode it and let you guys know finally, once and for all, on YouTube, what does the car say? What is the challenge? But I hear there's a prize, man. I don't know. We should get rich off of this first.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, like we got to make a ton of money. Like you should call the CEO of Rolls-Royce and be like, we're gonna decrypt this shit and send it over, and be like, we have a key to the car now, and we have all the key to your Kryptos thing. So hopefully we can get there. So all right, more to come on this next time, guys. Make sure you click like, subscribe, note, and turn on notifications. You can actually get the final key to what's happening once we actually decrypt everything. So thanks for coming, man. Appreciate
You're welcome.
you. And good luck on the on the mindfuck this is gonna be for the next like month. I don't even know how you sleep when you know shit like this because I don't understand any of this. But anyways, guys, there you have it. We'll catch you on the next one.